Did you enjoy playing for England?
Loved it.
You did?
Yeah, I loved it. Even now, I love watching England.
Yeah.
I loved it because as a kid, all I wanted to do is play for England. Even if I had one cap, I could say to people, I've played for England.
Yeah.
I hope everyone feels that. I hope everyone feels that way.
Because it's an interesting one. The reasons why I asked you, did you like playing for England, is because so much is being made about Southgate now and the culture that he's created in this England team, where players are enjoying playing for their country. And they've got this feel back that was lost over a period of time, and that it was a camp full of divisions and players that didn't get on with one another. And I'm curious to see, because we hear that all the time, and we hear it as and I'm not trying to have a go at Gareth here, but we hear that as one of the major things that Southgate has managed to achieve, happy camp.
It is different now.
But it seems to be the pictures being painted that everything was toxic and shit, and no one got together, and subsequently that was the reasons why England teams didn't achieve in the past.
Even then, there's some big characters with England, like big characters. You talk about obviously like even with JT, like a captain, you know, Beckham, Sol Campbell's, David James. There's some big characters where I just feel like it's probably like now with the England team, the squad, it's more like a club environment, and that's what I felt when I got back in. So when I had the period where obviously weren't involved with England for a long time, and to be totally honest, never thought I'd play for England again. And obviously scored a lot of goals at Sunderland, and then Gareth called me back into the squad. And when I remember coming back into the squad, and I thought, this is completely different. So I remember like even little things like England back then where, I don't know, you'd have lunch and you go to your room and you sort of like, you're going to the massage room. I heard Wayne Rooney speaking about it recently, and you sort of like have a little bit of banter with the boys and you're sort of like, and that's it. Well, if you don't go and get a massage, after lunch, you're not seeing the boys until dinner. Then you might have a meeting and you go back to your room. And that's what it was like. But I think now, with the England team, they do so much together. Like they'll do it at a club.
Yeah.
They play computer games and they'll have a games room and they're always together. It's just completely different.
Don't look like
for what it was like. It was completely different to what it was like back then.
Don't look like it on the bloody pitch right now, does it?
It's hard to watch.
What are you making of it?
Before the tournament, I was excited. And how can I not be? Yeah. Because when you speak about like, especially in the forward areas, the Fodens and Carl Palmer, and you talk about like, obviously of course Harry and Saka, all these players that have at club level that are winning trophies, big trophies, and you talk about numbers, amount of goals and assists these forward players are getting at club level. I was so excited going into the tournament, but then I thought, phew. And I remember I bumped into Gareth recently at St George's Park on my A licence. And I actually said to him, I said, good luck picking the team because we've got so many options. You're sort of like thinking, okay, what team's he going to pick? But for whatever reason, it's just not happened. And I think in tournament football, of course, the result's the most important thing. But I think as fans now, you want to see a performance. And the reason why it's been frustrated because, it's sometimes you can start a tournament slow. Mm-hmm. And then Harry spoke about, obviously, sometimes it takes 3 games. It's like when you come at pre-season, it takes about 5 or 6 games to really get that.
Rhythm, yeah.
And I think it's almost like you're sitting there, you think, okay, this might be the game, and then okay, this might be the game. But it's sort of like the same performances. So it has been disappointing to watch.
What do you think of players that are not there? Like you would have sat watching in 2006 and 2014, watching players in positions that you would have liked to have been in. Say, for example, someone like Jack Grealish. I mean, there's always this argument in there. Whoever's not there is the reason why you're not doing something, right? And players get much better in their absence.
Yeah, people saying it. Sometimes you can be the best player but not playing.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine what someone like Jack Grealish might be thinking at this moment in time, given that you've been in this situation in 2006, 2014, looking at it going,
I could have done something.
I could have done
naturally,
something.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you always think, even a Rashford, to be fair. And I think when I look at England, and listen, people talk about systems like 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. I look at some of the players, and I think like you look at a Saka, that's like a 1v1 specialist. You want to give the ball to those players. Mm-hmm. As coaches, I'm not even going to coach you because go and do your stuff in the final third. Have that freedom. Grealish ain't gone, so we take Eze. Eze again, 1v1. We can just create something out of nothing. But sometimes I just feel like, we play Trent at a position, but I always think if you're going to play Trent Alexander-Arnold, then you need movement in front of you. Otherwise, no point you playing.
Yeah.
And I just feel like a Rashford or players that will stretch and run in behind, and it always seems to be
But
in
that's Anthony
front.
Gordon in this instance, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It always seems to be in front and that, and it's so difficult. People don't realize when you play against certain teams, especially now, there's so many top coaches out there. When you play against certain teams, and I think these coaches will look at the Iceland game before and be like, do you know what? Okay, what we do is we get to a low block and we just frustrate England, hit them on a counter attack, organise distances, all the stuff that you learn as a kid. And then if we get a chance to score, we score. If we don't score, then we get a point, whatever it is. So you have to, if you've got a number 9, that's naturally going to come short. Players have got to run in behind. And I just feel like there's not been enough movement, and all the games have been the same.
Do you look at it and go, why is Phil Foden playing wide left?
He shouldn't be playing on left. Someone like a Phil Foden has to play in between the lines, and what that means is like he has to be central, because with someone like Phil Foden, if you can get the ball to him in the right areas, he will cause damage. Yeah, he will hurt you. Yeah. And I just feel like he's wasted, to be honest. And I remember going back to you speak about the golden generation. I remember Joe Cole for England. Sometimes when Joe used to play on the left, and I always used to think, I saw Joe Cole as a 15-year-old and come from West Ham, and I always used to think, if he played central and you can get someone like that the ball, and they can just do something that's just off the cuff, then we'd have a better chance of winning the game. And listen, every England fan's saying the same thing about Phil Foden. He has to be playing central. I don't think we should be playing 2 holding midfielders. That's just my opinion. I think we should be playing 1, and you play like a Foden and a
especially
Bellingham.
Against the opposition that we've been playing against recently.
Yeah, I just don't understand where you need 2 holding midfielders. But I think at the minute it's just like, okay, then we just give the ball to Saka, he will do something, or give it to Foden, he'll do something, or Bellingham, and it's or just get the ball to Harry, he'll do something without. It doesn't seem to be any structure on it, any sort of like patterns to get there.
Do you think, I was watching it in Germany and thinking about it in my little way and thinking about the difference in international football to domestic football. And I was watching Rodri play for Spain the other day. It's just an operator of the highest level, just a colossus. Everything in the Spanish team goes through him. And he's the best in the world in that position by a country mile. And the best in the world means that he could get into any international side and any domestic side.
Yeah, he's the best.
And then we're looking at Declan Rice and suggesting that Declan Rice is in that sort of space as well. And I don't think he is. Aren't we seeing international football really not about being teams? It's about having star players that make the difference. And I'll tell you what I mean. 86, Maradona wins the World Cup for Argentina. They wouldn't have won it out elsewhere. 2022, Messi wins the World Cup for Argentina. Otherwise, there'd have been a bog standard team getting beaten by Saudi Arabia. And then you've got Mbappe that's carried France. So is it a realistic thing when people say they're not as good as a domestic side, they don't look like a team, they don't look like a unit? Isn't it a case that most international teams don't? They can't because they haven't got the ability to knit together as a unit. And really it's about star players that win a game for you. Yeah,
it's difficult. And to be totally honest, when you watch, there's been a lot of games where you watch, think, the game's not been great. And then, like you said, an individual might just do something to win you the game. Big moments in games, like we saw the other day with Bellingham, we would have been out. And that's what you need, big moment, Harry Kane scoring. And it is completely different being at your club, because when you're at your club, the manager's got you for the whole season. You're playing with these players every day. You're training with these players. And when you come with England, it's of course it's going to be difficult, and that's where you need your best players in key moments of games to make the difference.
Playing in their best positions.
Of course.
What do you make of the players' reaction? There's been a lot of noise recently, and it feels like that sometimes the media over-eggs it. Right, because they've got to fill content, and there's only so much you can fill about the same subject being a tournament. But the reaction from Gareth about the criticism that's been made of the players, the reaction from Jude the other day, and from Harry Kane, they took exception to Gary Lineker saying that what he'd seen was shit, but he went on to expand and said more things. You can't just take praise. You've got to take criticism too. You can't take all the upside, all the benefits, all the wonderful plaudits, all the economic returns, all the wonderful life and the rarefied air that you boys live in, right? But when you don't perform, no, I'm not having any of that, because that's not character.
You have to take it.
That's not substance. So what have you made when you've seen this bite back from Gareth? Careful what you do with these players, because you're going to send them back to the ages when they didn't want to play for the country. And Harry Kane having his two penneth about players that have played for the shirt know
Yeah.
what this feels like.
Yeah, I just
and then
think-
Jude coming out and saying, people saying a lot of old rubbish and stuff like that.
Yeah. I just
What do you
like,
think to that?
Because naturally, obviously, listen, we've all got egos. So I think
Yeah.
it hurts you. So you read something, you think, I don't like that. But I do feel like you have to use it in the right way. And I don't know, maybe it's easy.
Stick it down their throats.
Yeah, I think maybe it's easy for me to say that now, sitting there and that, but I think you have to use it in the right way. It's no point coming out and sort of like having a war against the press, because listen, not too long ago, the press were praising this England team. We got to a final, it was unlucky, lost on penalties, which is like, it happens. And Gary Neville actually said, I keep mentioning his name because sometimes I like the things he says, but
I do too, in all fairness.
He spoke about, but years ago it was worse. It was worse, and to be totally honest, the press have actually said good things about,
especially when he was coaching them.
do you know what I mean? Yes, but the press have actually said good things about the England team and that.
Yeah.
So if you're not playing well, what do you expect? Like it's part and parcel. You're playing for England in a major tournament. If the performances are not good, what do you expect? Do you know what I mean? So you have to use that in the right way and be like, okay, then I'll show you, sort of thing. Well, I'll show you, and then you have to perform.
Do you think it's a case of society's breeding a lesser resilient characteristic? Because it always seems to me that all I ever listen to is what footballers don't want to do, how many games they don't want to play in, and how hard they think they're done by because someone said something that they didn't particularly like.
Different.
And you live in this world, my God.
Yeah,
most of you couldn't believe the opportunities you've been given.
Don't make excuses. You like, for me, growing up and obviously, yeah, my mum had me young, and I remember seeing my nan working every hour. She worked in a sugar factory, Tottenham. My granddad worked in a meat factory, and he was coming home, and it's like, that's all I saw was hard work. So for me, it was normal, and then, you know, I remember my mum one day saying to me, I remember I played a game, I think it was for Simrab, and she sort of had to grab me in a car and said, listen, don't waste my time. If you're going to do this right, don't waste my time. And so when I see young players now that get criticised and they sort of like can't handle it, listen, this is what we're trying to prepare. We're trying to prepare you for the real thing. That's what it's like.
Good lad.
You know, we're trying to prepare you for the real thing. But I think we have to be very careful in this country with academies, where there's a lot of people that come into academies that don't really understand what we're trying to prepare these players for.
Oh, I agree.
So if a player's making a mistake, I can't always say to the player, unlucky.
Yeah.
Because if I send you out on loan, like what Harry Redknapp did to me when I went to Bournemouth,
you're going to get a rude awakening.
I am not. And the older professional that's trying to pay his mortgage, that's got 5 kids,
I'm going to smash you.
and getting pressure from his wife, is not going to say to me, "Oh, Jermain, you know what? Unlucky."
Yeah.
So I have to be prepared.
That's absolutely right.
So I do feel like it's different now, but yeah, I think for the players, I think they just need to focus on what's important and try and forget about the noise if they can.
You know Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, how will Harry be reacting to the expectation and the pressure that's building now? Because it is building.
It is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I always found that when you play for England, it's a different sort of pressure, but it's a good pressure. It's a good pressure, because at the end of the day, listen, you players are the chosen ones. How many people would love to be where you're at? Playing for England at a major tournament, you have to enjoy it and embrace it. I mean, because when you finish playing, what you'll do to be back there at a major tournament, it's what dreams are made of. Do you know what I mean? So, of course, there's pressure on that, but I think with someone like Harry Kane, he's someone that would enjoy the pressure, to be honest. You know, he would enjoy the pressure. You know, there was a lot of noise about, you know, is he going to play? You know, a lot of people said, we should sort of like rest him or drop him, whatever. I said, you can't. Because I said, with Harry Kane, at any moment, he will win you the game. You know, at any moment, because he's one of those forwards, and he might not be involved in the game as much as he wants, because when he comes too deep and he wants to get touches, because Harry Kane was actually midfielder when he first started as a kid.
All right.
So that's why he's a good passer. Yeah. So when he comes too deep, people are saying, well, you know, you're in the right, there's no focal point.
But he wants to join up.
But then if he's the focal point, he's not getting touches. People don't realize how hard it is when you're not getting touches, but to have that level of concentration for when your chance comes, and then to take it, then to execute, it's not easy. And that's why I respect players like Harry Kane and players like Haaland, who would get 4 touches in the first half and that, but would score. So yeah, for me, like I think he'd enjoy the pressure, and he's shown in big moments.